Hello and welcome to the IU College Insider Podcast, a collaboration between the College of Arts and Sciences at Indiana University Bloomington and Indiana Public Media. We'll be sharing the voices and experience of guests who will shed light on what college was really like and how higher education is impacting our workforce, communities, economy, and our state and society. Today we're asking a big question: why go to college? And why take that path now? Joining me today are Terrell, who's our Senior Director of Academic Engagement and Student Experience here at the College of Arts and Sciences at Indiana University Bloomington. We also have Ashley Gilmer, who's a senior who'll be graduating in May, who's majoring in organizational and business psychology in the college, and also a minor in human resources at the O'Neill School of Public and Environmental Affairs. So welcome, both of you. So Tanner, let's throw this first question to you. In your role at the Walter Center for Career Achievement, you meet with lots and lots of prospective students. In your day-to-day work, what are they looking for in a college degree?
Yeah, it's a question that we in the Walter Center for Career Achievement, our recruiting team, we get it every single day. And there are all sorts of things I think that parents and families are looking for as far as an answer there. I think the first thing that they're wanting to hear is that some confidence that there's going to be a very clear and early return on investment for the investment that they're making in education. Mm-hmm. And so they very specifically want to know about earnings potential. They want to know about quality of life things. They want to know that their student or the student themselves, they want to know that they can end up where they want to end up, whatever their sort of imagining of that is at their high school career, which is where a lot of those students are. And so that's really the most obvious thing. But that's kind of a checkbox thing. So like once we kind of give some reassurance about that, they really want to know more about the how of it all. So, okay, so return on investment, great. How are you going to get me there, though? How are you going to put me on a glide path to actually get to that place where I want to be? And so they're looking for that step-by-step guidance, those things that are sort of baked into their experience. And so, we live in this world right now where you can go on YouTube or you can type a prompt into AI and it can spit out very specific step-by-step guidance on how to do something very detailed and sometimes very complex. And that wasn't the case even a few years ago. And I think that like our own human expectations are that we'll get some sort of instruction sheet for something like that. So to that end, they want to really understand, okay, great, you have all these internship opportunities, you have all these study abroad opportunities. How are you going to ensure that I leave this place, that I have gained an internship, that I have done a study abroad experience, that I have those employer connections? They really want that specific sort of clearly spelled out instructions on how to get those specific experiences.
Mm-hmm. So Ashley, let's turn to you for this one. From your perspective, what does a college degree actually do for someone trying to build a career out there?
Yeah, so I think with the time of college, you have at least 4 years. It's really a good time for you to explore, to really discover who you are and kind of flourish in the best way that you can. I mean, personally for me, I thought I would come into college sticking to one straight path, but then I realized that college itself doesn't have to be linear, which is great. And so I think by coming to the college, even if you're going to change your major, there are so many resources offered. It's just taking the initiative and being able to use those resources and use them to your benefit. When I came into college, I think something that I was really surprised by in a good way was the amount of diversity that's at Indiana University. A little background story about me is I was originally adopted from China, and my parents had moved me back here, and I've lived in Indiana ever since. But growing up in that small town, I didn't necessarily find other girls who were like me or find others who had a similar adoptee background, and I didn't think it was possible to really find that community. That wasn't, though, until I came to IU, where I learned that there was an adoptee awareness club with a plethora amount of girls and boys who were internationally adopted, and it's a niche story, a niche background, but to be able to bond with other students with that similar story is really special. It also just really hones in on that community, especially with IU, what that offers. And so that's one area that I've gotten involved, and I certainly want to get more involved next semester with. But outside of that club, I think throughout my 4 years, I've integrated within academic clubs, whether through a business organization, consulting clubs, through the Kelley School of Business. There's been an HR case competition through O'Neill that I've been a part of for 2 years. We just competed this past fall. We got second place at Purdue University,
Nice.
so that was a really cool accomplishment. But I think it's also important to find what you're passionate about. So I love TED Talks, and so that's why I joined TEDx at IU here. I mean, my sophomore year, I was able to work with a Disney animator, Amy Smead, shout out to you. But it was really cool to be able to bring someone from LA and to IU and really have her advocate for her story, share what it's like to be a Disney animator on Moana and Frozen 2.
Wow.
But to say that students themselves can bring those type of people into the campus is really when we're marketing, and that speaks volume, I think. And so there's been TEDx, there's, oh gosh, what other, and I would say another fun was I was always athletic growing up, but so that's why I joined an intramural volleyball or basketball club here with my friends. Something silly, but so fun to do. So I highly recommend joining an intramural sport. You also don't even have to be able to play it. I mean, in high school, I never played volleyball. First time was college, did great, had fun, I'm here.
Excellent. And you're talking about a niche area, but I think IU Bloomington has something like 700 clubs
Yeah,
out
definitely.
there, so every
Yeah.
niche is covered.
And
Yeah.
I think something we always advocate in the College of Art and Sciences for our tours is if you don't find it here, you can make it. You can easily find an advisor to sponsor your club and really advocate for what you're passionate about.
That's a good point, Ashley.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So back to you, Tanya.
Yeah.
We've seen real shifting confidence in society about their confidence in higher education. What's your reaction to that? And what's at play here? And what do you think people should know about higher education?
Yeah. So I'm going to put on my higher education historian hat here for a second, if that's okay. That's kind of where my background and expertise is in. And, you can jump into a Wayback Machine and you can jump out in any decade and you can start pulling articles about public sentiment in higher education, and all of the headlines are going to read the same regardless of decade, which it's going to say, oh, there's a shift in public sentiment in higher education. Mm-hmm. We're always in the middle of a shift. And that shift really just reflects the fact that American higher education has always reflected and influenced larger changes in American society. So it's very natural for there to be shifts in the public sentiment on higher education as higher education is impacted by larger America and world society and things like that. So that's one thing I would say is just that the narrative is it's always been shifting, and that will continue to be the narrative moving forward. Now, right now in the moment that we are in, I will say that we've seen a retreat in public sentiment the last decade or so, but in the last year or so, we've actually seen that pendulum begin to swing back in the other direction. And so there's actually right now a positive swing in public sentiment in higher education, which is exciting, but also, again, just kind of part of those natural ebbs and flows, those waxes and wanes. So that's public sentiment. But if I'm a student or a prospective student, or I'm a prospective family member of a prospective student, and I'm thinking about, is college worth it in 2025? You could look at public sentiment, but I don't think that's actually a helpful barometer as far as making the decision. I would actually encourage that student to look at employer sentiment on the value of higher education. Is it worth it right now? And there's recent data, I think in the last week or two, from the AACNU that said that 85% of employers feel that higher education is adequately preparing students for this job market. And so if I'm a person who's weighing the decision about whether or not college is worth it, that's the sort of sentiment that I would be looking at, is that employer sentiment in helping to guide my decision, I think.
And what about the value of a college degree right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think the value of a college degree is very stable. Like, I think if you were to read the headlines, I think you would feel like maybe it's on a foundation that is shakier, but the most recent data on if as far as value, and I guess it depends, Rick, on what you mean by value, right? And that's maybe a conversation that we'll get into.
Students will often think like, what is my median earnings when I graduate from college?
And that's a lot of what we hear from prospective families and students. And so that's a very open and shut sort of case, because bachelor's degree graduates make a median of about $32,000 to $33,000 more than high school graduates alone. And so there's not really a debate to be had there. I think that's kind of open and shut, and that's a very stable sort of number. So, value of degree is unequivocal. Yeah. But I know there are other ways that we talk about the value of a degree. We'll probably get into that conversation.
Something that you really love doing, yes.
Yeah,
so Ashley, how can a student get the most out of college? And what was your experience? I know you're involved in a lot of things, but if you can give us a brief description of that.
I think the biggest way to get the most out of your college experience is to find what you're passionate about and figure out a way to integrate that throughout your college experience, whether that's through clubs, internships, or some type of course. Because once you do, you realize that there are so many ways that you can achieve that or the resources that are out there, but it's up to you to figure out how to use them to your advantage. And for me, I was able to witness that firsthand. I mean, the college, right when I came in, I was able to witness the 4 pillars that you guys talk about so heavily about with research, intensive learning, career readiness. You know, my first year, the reason why I chose to come to IU was because I was able to get involved in research right away, which was very rare, and not a lot of the other schools I was looking at had that opportunity. And so my freshman year, I was able to enroll in the Arts and Sciences undergraduate research experience under Professor Benjamin Ramsden. In his lab, we got to use EEG equipment, and as a freshman, I got to perform brain scans on other students, which is pretty cool.
I didn't know that.
I mean, it was pretty cool as a freshman to say that I could use medical equipment and understand what your brain waves mean.
Yeah.
Do you have your own brain scan?
I don't anymore, but
okay.
I remember that when we did our research presentation at the end in a poster, my brainwave patterns were on our poster, so that was pretty cool. It's like, oh yeah, that was mine.
It makes a great phone background.
I know,
think,
it's like, but outside of research, I think my time here in college has really helped me become a well-rounded person because, yes, I was able to take courses through the liberal arts program, but I was also able to take courses through Kelly and O'Neill and join clubs through them, whether it was Huger Consulting Network or TEDx, where I get to help bring a TED Talk conference to life here at IU. There's so many opportunities that have helped me grow here at IU, and I think just by making the most of my college experience, I've really been able to flourish. And to really tie the bow off here, I feel like because of all that career readiness from that, it's how I've been able to achieve 2 different internships because of the connections that IU has with different employers. You know, my first one was at the MJ Companies, a private insurance firm in Carmel, Indiana. And then my second one was at Eli Lilly, the global pharmaceutical company right downtown, a big company that people aspire to work for because of their passion and what they're doing today for their cause. Mm-hmm. And so I think all these opportunities really just were the way that I shaped my own experience here at IU, and I hope it gives a glimpse to future students wanting to come here.
Yeah. And the one thing Ashley didn't mention that I hope has been formative is just also being like a student employee on campus.
That is true,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So my role here on campus, ever since my sophomore year, I became a college ambassador, and that's where I not only lead tours and give info sessions, but I'm really that firsthand connection from a student perspective that prospective students and families come and visit and they interact with, and they figure out, okay, is IU the right school for my kid? Am I going to find my place here? And so by really being able to tell what their interests are, I tailor my own communication style to really adapt to what values most of them, because I know that's what happened when I was on my tour. So this is just my way to reciprocate and return that favor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the college ambassadors are huge for us when alumni
Yes.
come to visit. They sort of like the chaperones, and then they can speak very intelligently about the college, what like it is right now instead of decades ago. So Tanner, career readiness is a huge buzzword.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you, to IU, and the college?
Yeah. Well, it certainly is a buzzword right now.
Yeah.
Has been for the past few years. And, you know, to your point, I think it can mean a lot of different things depending on the institution that you're looking at, but pretty much everyone is using it. For the College of Arts and Sciences, it means something very specific, and Rick will probably talk about this more, but you know, it means the Pillars Undergraduate Experience, which is this, you know, massive new initiative that we've launched in the College of Arts and Sciences here in the last couple of years. And what it's a name, but what it guarantees is that every single College of Arts and Sciences student, regardless of their interests, regardless of their major, whatever brought them to the College of Arts and Sciences, that they're going to experience not one but 2 career courses that help them learn about themselves, that help them learn how to articulate the value of their degree to employers, to graduate schools during interviews, things like that. It guarantees a very early undergraduate research experience, Ashley, like you had with Assure, right? Or some sort of creative inquiry project where you have a faculty mentor early in your undergraduate career. In addition to that, it also guarantees that you're going to have an additional internship or study abroad experience, some other experience in addition to that undergrad research experience itself. And then again, it's going to make sure that you leave here able to articulate the career competencies that you have gained inside and outside of the classroom. You know, we have over 400 faculty at this point that have gone through the Career Connections Fellows program. And that program is all about helping our faculty articulate the specific career skills that students are gaining in the classroom. So right now, whether you're a history major or a human biology major, your faculty members are talking about and they're elevating the career skills that you're gaining in the classroom. So, career readiness can mean a lot of different things. Yeah. What's cool about the College of Arts and Sciences right now is that we've made it such that all of that preparation is now unavoidable. It's not something that you opt into.
Right, because we found that only a little bit more than 50% of students actually went to the Walter Center for Career Achievement and was participating in these things that were helping them for their career. But actually, these are now required courses in our curriculum. And I think that's great. That's great for us. It's great for the students. And I love this thing where the students can learn how to tell their own story. When they're being interviewed, that's when the authenticity comes through, is when they're telling their own story instead of just sort of stammering, like, what does an English major make you, eminently employable?
That's exactly
cool.
right. And the other thing I'll say is, like, you brought up our own sort of local data, and we were hitting a place where just over 50% of undergraduates were kind of interacting with the Walter Center in a meaningful way for the first 5 years of the Walter Center's existence. And, one of the things that we also measured in trying to understand what predicts post-graduation success is that those career courses are really important. Baking that into the curriculum is really important, and that's why that change to have those 2 career readiness courses in the College of Arts and Sciences was such a seismic change, and something that we're only beginning to be able to measure the impact of, right? That's something that's going to take years to realize as students move through their undergraduate career with that requirement in place. But the other thing that we measured is that there is a strong correlation between completing multiple internships in your undergraduate experience and experiencing post-graduation success. And by post-graduation success, I mean landing in a successful destination, but also feeling like you landed in a successful destination, right? So we ask a lot of questions about where did you end up and how much are you earning. But we also ask questions that hint to how you feel about that, right? So employment satisfaction.
Right, it was a huge thing. Yes.
Huge thing. How do you feel like your job relates to your major? How does it relate to your long-term career goals? And those metrics are also really positively impacted by completing multiple experiential learning opportunities, internships, study abroad, undergrad research, those sorts of things. So that's something that the pillars, again, promises to students, right?
What's that measurement right now in terms of the success rate of people in their first position?
Yeah, so for students that are students that don't report completing an internship, your post-graduation outcome rate's going to be in the mid-80s, and if you have multiple internships, it jumps to effectively 100%. So if you do a couple of internships and you pair it with those career courses, it basically statistically guarantees that you end up in a first destination that you are happy with.
Yeah. The Pillars program is fantastic because we can make this promise to both students and their parents, because those are, they're always in the conversation with the students. So actually, coming back, you described a little bit about this, Ashley, but can you describe a little bit more about your career readiness and how you use the Walter Center and the Pillars program for getting to where you are now?
Yeah, certainly. So, excuse me, when I figured out about the Walter Center, at first I had no idea what it was until I was introduced through the College Ambassador program. And then once I knew what it was, I was like, this is such a great tool. It was not a free cost. I mean, sophomore year, I didn't know what to do. I didn't even know how to articulate or convey all my experiences. And so what I did with them a lot is resume prep, but then I also did a lot of mock interviews to prepare me for those 2 internships. And then once after those internships, I just went to the career coach really for career guidance on how to navigate the job market. Because as of right now, 2026, it's a little scary to be entering into the job market, but being able to have the right people to advocate for you, give you advice, and lead you in the right direction really gave me more encouragement and a sense of confidence in myself that, okay, I'm capable of this, I have the resources, and now it's on me to go figure out what I want to do. But outside of the Walter Career Center, through my psychology major, we took 3 career courses that were very, very beneficial. The first was learning about yourself, your strengths, what you want to do for your career. The second were those resume interviews. And then the third one was learning how to apply for those graduate programs, research, or post-job applications. And so I think just by having those courses, like we say required, but they're truly beneficial that I don't think I would have been able to be where I am today without discovering myself through them. So I'd say that's more on the academic side. But what you learn for career readiness inside the classroom is just as important outside the classroom. And what I mean by that is I was able to go study abroad for 3 weeks in Germany and Italy. And through that, I'm able to articulate not just what I learned, but the skills that I gained from that. Either it was confidence navigating cross-culture dynamics or really just being able to think critically on my feet in that fast, dynamic environment. All of that has helped me prepare for my career, and I've been able to enhance my own portfolio to future employers.
Mm-hmm. And those study abroad experiences are often enhanced by the fact that the college has all these language and culture degree programs or courses that you can take to prepare you for those study abroad experiences. And what do you plan to do when you graduate in May?
Yeah, so after May, so originally I'm from Indianapolis, but in August I'll be moving to Charlotte, North Carolina to work for Wells Fargo. I'll be working as an HR analyst in their HR development program. So I'm very, very excited to have it all in ink, very satisfying to know that post-grad I have a job and it's something that I'm very passionate about. And granted, psychology is not HR, but that was my passion that I studied, and I love that. So I'm able to use my passion in my day-to-day, my work life, which was very rewarding for me.
Okay.
And psychology is HR. I think that is actually.
Yeah, it is, yes.
It's absolutely. You are absolutely. There's so much crossover in those skills that you've gained inside the classroom.
And your major in organizational business psychology, that is also a lot of business.
It correlates a lot. Yes, it correlates a lot with HR. Because I remember my original direction with that major was to go the industrial organizational psychologist route, but that requires a PhD. But realizing how heavily HR correlates with it, it brought me a lot more passion going that direction versus the first one before. Again, I kind of changed my career path.
Right.
Sure. And you can always decide to do a graduate program later.
Right.
So. Yeah, and again, in the college, there's a lot of students that are preparing for postgraduate work, whether they're pre-med or pre-health or pre-law. But then the other category is that they're finding their way here. Right. We have a lot of discovery departments that they didn't even know that sort of field existed, that they could take a major in that field.
Right.
And they find that and find their passion, and that allows them to have a meaningful life afterwards.
100%.
Good career.
Ashley, what did you want to study when you entered IU?
Oh my gosh, when I entered, I was stayed in the psychology room, but it was originally clinical psychology on the research route. I had aspirations to become a neuropsychologist, and then quickly, as we can tell, I pivoted away from that.
What was yours?
Yeah, I was going to ask. It's interesting, right? Because I think, it's like well over half of students change their undergraduate major while they're here, and so I was absolutely one of those that changed mine as well. I started as a chemistry major. I was thinking I was pre-pharmacy. I graduated by the end of it with an Earth and Atmospheric Sciences concentration in secondary education, and I'm working in higher education, not teaching high school chemistry or geology right now. Yeah,
but I think we were just talking about how probably about 60% of students change their major, but that just is completely normal, and I think that's not advocated enough for.
No, absolutely not. No, we've got to give students a permission structure to do that discovery that you get to do in the College of Arts and Sciences at Indiana University. I mean, it's so true. I mean, I will say that if I had gone back, I would probably choose different majors. Like I'd probably double major like history and political science or something, or history and philosophy or something like that. And yet, there's the agility to the degree such that you can also just find what you want to do and find the skills, harness. There's so much crossover in the skills that you can actually still end up where you want to end up and end up happy and fulfilled. There's not really a wrong decision, I guess is what I'm trying to say in a lot of ways. Like there's an underpinning of so many competencies in a College of Arts and Sciences education that you do have that elasticity in the job market. You can pivot, you can bop and weave, you can try different things out, you can move into different job functions or industries.
Okay, maybe just a quick lightning round. If you had a student standing in front of you and they were skeptical or concerned that that the worth of a college degree, what would one thing you'd want them to know?
I'd say the one that I want them to know about going into college is you don't have to have it all figured out on day one. College is such a big time for you to figure out who you are away from your hometown, and you wouldn't have been able to get that experience unless you had came to college. I mean, personally for me, I've changed in so many ways, only for the better, whether it's through my study abroad, internship, or even like my intramural volleyball club, something so silly, small, but also really impactful throughout my college time here. I know that once I graduate from IU, I'm not just leaving here with memories for 4 years. I'm leaving here with experiences and connections that are going to last me a lifetime.
Right. It's not just the degree programs. It's things,
Right.
it's extracurricular experiences that you actually have. To study abroad is a very good example as
Right.
well. Yes. And yourself, Tanner.
It would be the same answer. It would be a complication of the question itself, right? It would. It would be is a college degree worth it? Well, we've already talked about the fact that from an earnings perspective, there's no debate to be had. From an earnings perspective, bachelor's degree graduates make $33,000 more per year than high school graduates. So, no decision there. Now, is a college degree worth it? That's what I would do to complicate it. I would say, well, you're not investing in a college degree, you're investing in a college experience. And so,
Right.
yeah, when people think about college degree, they're often thinking about like earning a degree, right? They're thinking about a credential that they're earning, and you are getting so much more. If that's what you're thinking about when you're weighing the decision, then you're missing out on so much of the pie, right?
Right.
I mean, that is a sliver of it, and it is an important one, but there is so much that wraps around the sort of like, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday in the classroom, that adds value, right? Whether you're becoming that network of like 150,000 living alumni, right? And all the connections that you make to those alumni throughout your undergraduate career. All of the experiences that we've talked about that are baked into that, right? That are outside the classroom, studying abroad, getting these really meaningful internships. These are harder things to do without like the structure of a university, a major, research-intensive university behind you. And so those are the things I think that you also have to factor into that equation that a lot of times, kind of folks overlook if you're just trying to like go it alone and trying to figure out what you're going to do meaningfully for the rest of your life away from college.
Right. And then you're saying that employers, 85%,
Right.
do recognize the power of a college degree, but there's also the liberal arts and sciences. Those are and you said you wanted that for that skill set, the
Right.
foundational skills that it comes with. They want people that are curious. They want people that have critical thinking skills. Those are above and beyond the title of your degree.
Yeah. The college, they have those 5 core values that they really embody. And I think my biggest return on investment is being able to walk away saying that, yes, that is true. I was able to achieve all those 5 core values. And it was really either whether it was a study abroad. I think another big thing to advocate for is that because I was able to go, I had scholarship money that helped fund that trip. And because of that, it's how I was able to gain all those skills. And I think what's not advocated for enough is you can go study abroad and have scholarships that are funding your trip that can, one, benefit you. So I don't think that money should be necessarily a scare at first without reaching out and finding those resources. So I think definitely the study abroad, those 5 college values, and then just my whole experience, that was my return on investment of coming to IU. Especially being from Indiana, I chose to stay here, and so ultimately it was a great choice.
Yeah, I was a first-generation college student. Actually, Ashley and I were both talking about.
Yeah.
We're both Hoosiers. We're both
We are,
Hoosiers.
yeah.
And being from like rural southern Indiana, I'm from Washington County, Indiana. And it was a great place to grow up. It was a perfect, sort of place to get launched into. Indiana University as a first-generation college student. But I think back on like we were talking about our undergraduate majors, and I've thought about this afterward. The 2 majors that I considered were pharmacy and high school teacher. And those were really the 2 recognizable people in the community that had college degrees. And so there's something really important about attending university that just allows you to discover, to learn about things that you didn't know you could learn about.
Yeah.
And so when I got here, that opened up my world to different things that I could, be good at, different things that I could make a professional career, things that I didn't know that were out there in the world until I actually experienced the world. And so that's something else intangible that I think when you're weighing the decision of is college worth it is something really important to consider.
So Tanner, can you say a little bit more about so we have scholarship programs specifically for internships. Can you say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, the Walter Center curates, and thanks so much to, if there are any alumni out there listening, this is all, this is alumni funded, right?
Yes.
And so this is the support of our college alums that make this possible. But the Walter Center for Career Achievement has hundreds of thousands of dollars in internship scholarships that we have the ability to sort of take applications for and to give out each year. And so we're funding, six figures amount of internship scholarships for College of Arts and Sciences students to do things that would otherwise go unfunded, right? There are a lot of opportunities that College of Arts and Sciences students are interested in that are underfunded, right? And things like this, media. Media is a very expensive place to try to do internships, right? And so, through those generous donations, we're able to, curate that sort of giving, and it's life-changing for these students. And we get these letters back, right, from these students, and they talk about it. And there's just nothing. If you're a practitioner of higher education, there's nothing more fulfilling than reading those letters and realizing just the life-changing impact of that semester-long experience, and the fact that student didn't have to go into debt in order to experience that.
Right.
Yeah.
So thanks very much to both of you for this discussion and conversation. It's been really insightful to me and hopefully our audience. And for everyone watching and listening, thank you so much for joining us on this very first episode of the IU College Insider podcast. And we hope that you subscribe to this podcast.